Hi, it's Acrylic Painting Monday with Ginger Cook, and wow, we're doing this charming lavender field, probably over in France. They're famous for that, Lavender, they call it, and this old church. Now, when you end up with a photograph, you saw this and you wanted to paint it, and you want that as a reference. The problem with the photograph is that, all this details here, there's detail in the church, there's all these clouds. We're going to show you what to take away and why. Because right now, everything's talking at once. And what we want to do is focus on. You notice that we have not done a lot of detail on the lavender because we focused on the church. And that's where your center of attention is. If we put all the little details in there, the whole painting would be screaming at you. So in this video, we're going to show you not to let your reference change how your painting does so that everything's screaming at you. You want something to feel calm and peaceful, and how to make that happen. So looking up here, I want to just welcome you guys to our premiere. Be sure to have a question, type it in all caps. If a lot of you are watching this on a television and you just really can't type it, you want to be part of the chat. So if a question didn't get answered, write it down. If it didn't get answered tonight in the live chat, come on over to our Facebook club. It's free, Acrylic Painting with Ginger Cook. Join the club. Type in the video and reference the link, and then type the question in, and I check my Facebook club every day, and we'll answer it. And maybe some other people will answer too, and you might get more than one answer. And isn't that fun? So let's have fun with this. Be sure to subscribe and like. Thank the mods for coming. And I can't wait to show you how to paint this charming lavender field in church. Okay, so we've got our 8x10 canvas just painted with ultramarine blue and white, and it's dried, and we have transferred on the church and the lavender field. Now, we don't draw on all the clouds or this tree here. Basically, just trying to keep it a minimum. We know we've got these bushes here, these back hills. Eventually, a tree will go in here. So we're just going to start, making sure we have this on here and that we have the perspective right. So and these, the traceables are available at gingercookondemand.com, $1.50. For the traceable, and if you wanted all the traceables that we have done back to in the last 5 years, back to 2020, they're available as an orange member on acrylicpaintingwithgingercook.com, just $4.95 a month, and you get access to all the traceables that your little heart desires. So if you're just doing a one-of, but the best deal is to become an orange member. And also, this is a way of, this is a way of sort of, tipping the artist, You're
buying us a coffee.
Kind of buy us a coffee, buy a traceable, or, subscribe. And, it's just another way of showing your appreciation besides subscribing and sharing. Okay? So put that out of the way.
Basically, we're breaking this down into chapters again. In the chapter one, like Ginger was saying, you're sketching on. You have your underpainting, and you're sketching on your church, your major components.
And the reason John and I are doing this together is because we have found did some research, and if we talked it over and made sort of a plan of how I was going to paint this ahead of time, and we wrote it down, and John's going to repeat it also, because if you hear it twice, you're more likely to remember it. And I think this is going to be a fun way for our premiere.
Where at least try it.
Okay, so we're going to start off with the sky.
Yep, the skies and the mountains.
And what can you tell us about the sky, John? Oh, here's the photo, but here's what we're actually painting. Okay. Somebody asked the other day, I want to know how to take a photo and turn it into a painting. This is we're showing you. This is what you do. You simplify it, right? What can I take away and not ruin the effect? Okay. So that's my photo. Here's my reference. Okay. Now what?
Okay, why don't we go ahead and talk about the colors we've got on our palette.
Okay, we've got titanium white and zinc white. Now, buff titanium. Now, interesting. I put it on there because a lot of people bought it, and that's nice. If you don't have it, you can mix white and yellow ochre and like a tiny bit of burnt umber, and you'll get buff titanium. So, but sometimes it's a color it's just nice to have. Cad yellow medium, cad yellow light. This is raw sienna. It's not really in the picture, but if you had it, you might want to use it. cad orange, pyrrole red, cad red light, magenta, dazzling purple, ultramarine blue, phthalo blue, burnt umber, and raw umber. Raw umber is your translucent brown. So, since it's something like zinc white is very translucent. And sometimes you can use raw umber to just push back a color so it's not quite so. Sometimes if you get carried away with acrylics, it can look a little plasticky. And there's a couple of things I'm going to do. And also we're going to be using a little bit of the matte medium, because one of the colors we're using is dazzling purple. And if we add a little bit of matte medium to it, it won't have the glare, okay?
It'll tone it down a bit.
If you don't have dazzling purple, you can use magenta and ultramarine blue.
So there's your colors. So let's tackle the sky. Step 2 of chapter 1. The sky is a gradient. You're going to mix the phthalo blue and white. You're going to paint the top of the canvas darker, adding more white as you go down towards the mountains.
You've seen me do these gradient things. Now, the difference is I'm also going to add a touch of raw umber to that sky so it doesn't look so Kodak. It doesn't look like a Kodak moment, okay?
Now, wait a minute. From a photographer's standpoint of view, we went for that.
I know, but do you remember the cameras? They were just all the skies were this color. Didn't matter what the day was, the skies were all that color.
The Kodachrome slide film?
And even in this picture, even in the photo, it's not quite so bright blue.
No.
So this blue is a little bit in your face. So sometimes you have to do it. You've got to be your own editor, okay?
Yeah, this is a reference. A reference is a guide. It's not a gospel.
Yeah, we're not counterfeiting money here. We're just trying to do a painting. So I'm going to start with a large angle brush. And I already had one here because I was painting the sky with it. Or not the sky, but the other painting with it.
Are we talking the 5/8 or 3/4?
Yeah, this one, whatever this is, 3/4. But any old one would do. This is probably big, but I've already got this one dirty. So I'm going to start with some white. Okay. And I'm going to take a little tiny bit of raw umber, like that. See there? About that much. And a tiny bit of the kryptonite of phthalo blue, okay? Phthalo blue is kryptonite.
It is really strong.
It can be, okay? So I'll add a little bit more phthalo blue. I want it a little bit darker, okay?
There you go.
So that's a nice color. I'm going to add a touch of ultramarine blue to that, John. It just feels like it needs a little more red in it. And ultramarine blue red shade would do that. I think that's a little bit better, right?
Yep.
Okay. And I still have the raw umber in it, so it's not plasticky. Okay. Could have done orange also. All right, so here's our, nope, that's wrong. Let's get a little bit more, really, it needs more ultramarine blue in it. All right, let's try that. I'm not happy with that. Let's try some more phthalo. Okay. Let's try it right on the canvas. Here we go. Because I do want this to be a darker blue up top.
There you go. That's the color.
Okay. Sometimes you just have to do a little experimenting, right? Because that's your darkest color. And I'm going to put a little bit of matte medium with my brush instead of water, because it'll make it easier to gradate the color. And one way I can do that is to just take a little cup here, one of these little, where'd they go here? I had a pile of them right here. I'm just going to pour a little of this, maybe about a tablespoon, maybe a teaspoon into this cup, like that. That's the golden matte medium, and I put a little, just dip my brush in it, okay? You see that? Now make it go a little bit smoother. Also extend your drying time a little bit. Go over this like that. Now, when you want to do a gradated sky, what you do is you kind of wipe the brush off and then come into the, I'm going to do the buff titanium, all right? Instead of the white, okay? And I'm going to come under here like this.
There's even the reference you have, they're warm clouds.
And then blend that back into the sky, like that. Let's take a little bit of the light blue. Take a little bit of the, now over on this side I'll do a little more white on the brush. We're going to kind of do this side a little bit more white for the, around the steeple, like right next to the the building here. Always paint the can always paint the bushes back over this, so don't worry about so much about that. All right, so see how I have this nice, using just the corner of my brush here, I've got this kind of buff titanium down here next to the hills. So see they're a little bit lighter right there? But I didn't have to do that much to this. So that works pretty well for me. I like that. That's a pretty sky. Now we haven't put the clouds in yet, but if we tried to put them in now, they would go a little green on us. I don't want to do that. So, okay, let's just kind of keep the brush strokes going that way. Okay. So
you got to make sure the blue's dry before you start doing that stuff.
yeah, you got it, the next step. So, but that's pretty. You see how we've got we blended in that buff right next to the, and you just take a little bit of paint on the corner of your brush like that. I tell you what, that's a pretty sky if we did nothing. Just because there's clouds in the photo, sometimes a painting like this has too many clouds. There's too much visual noise. You have to get rid of the clouds. Just because they were in your stupid photo when you took it, leave them out. You can put a few clouds, but don't get crazy.
Yeah, don't put all those in.
Yeah, you can't have, that's too many. It's too much visual noise.
Dry it.
Now, when you've used a matte medium, it'll take a little longer to dry, but I'm just trying to tack it over. So here is a very small smudgy brush, right here. This is a small smudgy brush. And I'm not going to use the medium in that because it's hard to clean out. The medium's hard to clean out of those brushes. It kind of stiffens them up. So I'm going to use some zinc white and buff titanium. Like that. That's the color of my clouds. Right, like this. And I'm going to come up here like this. And I'm going to set, just using just very light touch here. I'm almost tapping on some clouds here. I don't want too many. I'm going to tap in some clouds up in here like this, just above that. And
you got to remember to keep the edges soft on this.
Yeah, clouds are not,
they're airy.
Airy. Think about steam. Rather than clouds, think about painting steam, smoke or something. If you think about it, you're painting smoke. It'll be easier for you to do. I think that's a. I might put some more clouds in, but I'm well. I'll tell you what. There's a tiny bit of the orange in there, that cadmium orange, and I'm going to do just put a little of that orange in this cloud back in here like that. Let's just suggest some of that color in here underneath there. There you go. Now the zinc white and the buff titanium again. Okay. Then that's a little bit more.
You get the reddish tone, you might want a little dot of magenta in there to.
Well, really it's peach. I don't think you want
magenta. It should be a peach.
It's a peach color here, which is why I'm not doing magenta. It's more of that cad orange, and then that cadmium orange, and then I'm going to do a little bit of zinc white next to the steeple. Let me just wipe this brush off. See what I'm doing? And then just doing a little zinc white next to the steeple. Yeah, even titanium. I want a little bit lighter back in here, like that. So wipe it off and then just suggest this is the clouds coming up this way. Okay. All right, so that's our sky. We don't have to do too much. A lot more clouds in the picture than I want to put in, so we're just going to say that's the clouds. And if you ever need, zinc white is so transparent, you can make connecting clouds with zinc white because you can see through them. They're like the, you can just kind of see through these clouds like that, and you see the sky back. All right, now the next one is this, it's really this blue color with zinc white, the sky color with zinc white, right? And a little bit of magenta.
What are you going for, the mountains?
I'm going for the mountains. Would you say that's the color, John?
Well, ultramarine blue white and a tiny touch of magenta. The mountain should be a pale, hazy purple blue.
Yeah.
This pushes them into the distance. Atmospheric perspective, people. You've heard it before. We say it all the time.
Okay, so I'm using just this.
Got to have your depth.
I'm using. I had this this brush. I could have put a little bit more ultramarine blue in that too. Just that's a little bit. So kind of lighten those up a bit.
Yeah, that's a little better.
Yeah, it's as far as matching the color in the picture, right?
Yeah.
And that's too dark. So so what do? Here's the trick. We're going to dry that, and then I'll show you the trick. Okay. Now what you do is you rinse off your brush like this that you've had. See, I've got see all the dirt, see all the paint that's on that? Now I'm going to take some zinc white and just kind of rub it into the brush. Do it a couple times. Okay, now I'm going to go over these clouds, or rather these hills, with some zinc white, letting a few of the shadows show through. That's the secret. So it's not all one color. That's really advanced professional art stuff right there. Okay. So see, I push those mountains back just by doing zinc white is invaluable. Now the question always comes up, John. Well, if I don't have zinc white, can I use something else? Nope.
No.
Nope. Okay. So what's the next mountain is a little darker.
It's coming forward.
It's coming forward, so it's a little bit darker, but it's still got to be gray. Ultramarine blue.
Going to be using your same colors.
Same colors, and I feel like I'm going to put some phthalo in that. All right, now that's way too dark. What would happen if we did some buff titanium with that? Okay. All right, so you see how bright that is in your face?
Yes.
So one of the ways you can gray something is you can take a little bit of cad red light. Now that will gray that. See how that grayed that? Look at how that grayed that color. Went from this to that, just a little bit of cad red light. So I'm going to come up here like this. That's my dark. I'm putting a little bit more dark in there, and that's the top of these mountains here, like this. Okay, and I'm going to add some more zinc white to that. Lots of zinc white. See how I keep adding to the color? And then I'm going to take some titanium and lighten it up even more down toward the other hills. Just barely touch it, okay? Okay, so you see how we've got that? Now, we could lighten it up even more, but we have to dry it. This is one of the things that people just get lazy, and they just and they'll say screw it, and then they won't do it. And you listen, if we're going to spend year after year teaching you guys how to paint, really you'll get the most out of it if you kind of try to adapt these techniques to your own artwork. Now I'm going to just retire that, and I'm going to take the smudgies come in a set of 6, so I'm just going into zinc white now. No water on the brush, and zinc white and a new smudgy. And I'm going to come down here like this, and I'm adding another layer of mist that's got to come down before the next mountains. And boy, if you can do this misty stuff with the zinc white, it looks so good. I don't care, there you go. You might even put a little bit in here too. Just exaggerate that a little bit. Right? And to keep it thin, so if you have to, rather than make it thicker, just do a couple layers if you need to. But keep it thin. There. Can you see? Does that show up, John?
Yeah, very much so.
Okay, so this next group of hills right in here is really ultramarine blue with some green on it, wouldn't you say, John?
Okay, we're moving into chapter 2.
Yeah, then down into here.
It's going to be the middle ground. First thing we want to do, though, is really block in that church. so we can get a foundation.
No, I want to finish this.
You want to do the
I
front.
want to finish this. I'm on the hills, right?
Okay, we've written that out differently. We're going to do it. We're going to swap those two around.
We're going to swap this around. I want to finish this.
You want to do the greenery. Okay, the dark greens are going to be first. That's going to be your ultramarine blue, cad yellow, and burnt umber.
Well, that would be for this. But for this hill back here, or this hill back here.
Oh, you're still working on that hill.
We're still working on the hills. So that's got to be that ultramarine blue and purple
Yeah,
color.
you're still working on that. I thought we were going into the greens.
No, we haven't done that yet. So
Okay.
we're going to do the ultramarine blue, maybe even a little bit of magenta. Yeah, probably that. And put it, okay, so I'm saying that's the next hill here, okay? Put a little bit more ultramarine blue in it. And maybe some red. Just there you go. So darken that. All right, so put a little bit of water on the brush because it's not smudging very nicely. All right, so that's this hill here coming up at an angle. And I'm gonna bring it down to the road, even though there'll be some plants in front of it. Does that make sense? I'll just bring it on down here. But this is the darker part that I want. Okay. That has to be there. That's your three hills of Rome kind of thing, right? So then when we
hills of Rome.
Yeah.
I like that.
So when we do the greens, we'll come back and work on this, but that has to, as long as we were doing it, we have to have that dark. Now we're doing the church, right?
Church.
So we're going to take a small angle brush. And what's our next step?
Do not use pure white. You may think so. You want to use white with a tiny speck of the yellow oaky dokie.
Ochre.
Yep. Paint the sunny side of the church.
So white and yellow ochre. We're going to paint the sunny side of the church. Okay.
Sunny side up.
Now, I've got the windows in here, but I'm just going to get rid of them because we're doing this so small. It's just...
Yeah, you'll be able to pop them back in.
And I'll take it down a little bit lower than the bushes, even though I know there's bushes there. Okay, and we're going to do this one right there, that little part right there. And the same thing with this. I'm just going to go ahead and paint it down here because it's very small. So rather than get too excited about this, we're going to do that. Okay, that's the lightest side of this. Okay. Now, what's with the let's see. Let's get this straight up and down. Line should be parallel to the sides of your canvas. Okay. Now, next, what's the back?
All right, we're going to do the shadows. For the shadow side of the building, you're going to mix the white, ultramarine blue, and a touch of purple. This makes the shadows look cool and airy, not dirty.
So we could take a little of that mountain painting we just did, like this, right? And just get a little of this color. See? So we already had it. And we already had made it, right? Let's see. Let's wake that up. Now, I'd had some yellow on the brush, and I'd rinsed it a little bit, but yellow grays purple. So see how much grayer this purple is than if I'd cleaned the brush. That's all right. Okay. Okay. And then this. Need a really kind of an angle for this little small angle brush, 3/8 inch. It's very helpful for that, right, John?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's your underpainting color for that.
All right, we're ready for the roof.
Uh-huh.
The roof is going to be your cad orange and burnt umber. Lock in the roof shapes, and you're good to go on that.
So cadmium orange and a little burnt umber.
Bring that palette down a little bit so we can see what's going on.
All right, so I'm going to just put that in there, not too much burnt umber, more orange than burnt umber. Now, this is going over blue, so it's going to be a little darker than All right, so this is first layer. I'll add a little bit more orange to this side of it because it's brighter on the steeple. I'm going to just lighten this one up too. Okay, so we've got this one in here. This front of this is not straight enough because this is a very small painting. So I'm going to come under the roof line like this and straighten this out like this. And then I think when I put the, see how this is crooked? It's not straight up and down. When I put the green, I can straighten that up. All right, you guys see how I would do that, right? All right, so that's, all right, what's our next step, John?
Okay, we're going to let that dry. So we're going to go to the foreground now. We're going to move on to chapter 3 and do the lavender field. We're going to start off with the dirt path.
Really? You would do the lavender fields? Now, see, I would do this back in here.
You still got to want that stuff to dry around it, though.
Well, yeah, I guess we're letting it dry around it. So I guess the path, I would paint this path.
Yeah, you're going to be doing the paths first because that's on the bottom.
This is a path right through the middle.
Yep.
And that's really, we got that burnt umber, right?
Well, yeah, we're using the burnt umber. If you're not using burnt umber, you have your yellow okie dokie and
Ochre.
white and burnt umber.
Well, but the burnt umber is the base color, which has to dry, and then you've got your other colors on top. All right. Yeah, that's how you have to paint it. The burnt umber and maybe a little purple. That's your dark. That's your underpainting. You have a blue underpainting here, so you have to have this path dark first. Okay. Okay, you have to have that dark first, at least to here, you know. Then you can go into the burnt sienna. Okay, from here. Remember, see how it gets smaller? Okay. We're going to put a color on top of that, but that's our underpainting dark. And as long as we're painting dark, should we put in the... Are we painting this whole field purple?
Yep.
All right, so if we're doing that, let's paint this over here then, which is really just buff titanium, right? A little yellow ochre. This up in here like that. Buff titanium and a little yellow ochre. That's what that is right up here, right? So if we paint this, I mean, you're just talking about your base colors here. What you're going to put other stuff on top, but that's going here, okay? That has to go here. I'm just doing this so I know what goes where. Okay. All right, so this is dry enough now, or I can use a smudgy. Okay. And you know, so what are the colors for the path, John? Was yellow ochre and what?
Basically the buff titanium. Yellow ochre, and white and burnt umber.
So I'm going to tap on. See how I'm tapping it on? Let me get some yellow ochre. If we were doing this larger, we might put the brush strokes going across, but we're just tapping on this loose path, and then I've got a little bit of purple in here. Those dazzling purple and white, I guess. Let's just put a little bit of... We've got just a bit of purple in this path. And to get anything down here light, you'd almost just have to use a brush, okay? So when you get down to the end of the path, this is just light here. There's some of that light right color right there. you say we're good to go with that, John?
I think so. You'll do fine touches when we get done with her.
Yeah, okay, so that's the very skin. I mean, if you look at that, just really nothing going on in that path.
Did you get paint on my picture?
I got paint on the picture. Okay, so now this is all gonna be dazzling purple in here, right?
Well, now we're going to do the purple sea, the base layer of the purple sea.
Okay, so
do a dark background for the flowers to pop against. It's basically a very dark violet, which is ultramarine blue, dioxine purple, and magenta.
all right, so we're gonna take some magenta, ultramarine blue. Let's see what we get with that first. Okay, that's pretty. I'm gonna take a little bit of the dazzling purple. And I'm going to take a little bit of the matte medium so we don't get a glare. All right. And
yeah, I kind of want to leave a little pathway. If you have any path, is there any path in the reference on that?
Well, no, they're not. So
okay.
I would have painted this differently, John. I would have put the dark paths in first, like this, in between. See, I disagree with when you go to actual paint, it's wrong. Because what you have to do is you got to put that purple, that dark purple, in between.
Where the path is.
Where the space is between the plants.
Yeah, just like you're doing there.
You have to have that color before you can put this other color.
Basically your ground shadow color.
Yeah, you got to have that. And this is pretty dark back in here like that. So you have to have that. Then you can have a little of this other stuff, this other lighter color. But you got to have the space where the put a little zinc white with that. There you go. You got to have the space in between. Like this has to be darker in here. Okay. And then back up in here on this side of the path, it's all dark too. Just take that off to the edge, right? So it's very dark in here. It gets down to here, it's very dark. And then I think I would just, about this far, I would paint this color. And then go back and decide what goes what.
Your layer on top of it.
Yeah, that's the layer
Put the
on top of it.
lighters on top.
But I would paint this all to this like that. This all to this like this. And just put a little white with that. So that's the kind of the underpainting for these flowers. But you have to have that dark path area, which is your purple. Okay. And then I'd probably just back up in here. I'd probably just take some zinc white with the colors I've got, and do this. Okay, so that's probably about as much as you need to do here, right?
Yeah, I think to get your base color in there.
Yeah, that's all we're doing in that, and just base color. That's all. You're just saying that's
the layout.
Yeah. Okay. And change this towel out here.
Now I'm not sure how you want to do the next part.
Well, I think what I want to do here is I want to put the bushes in.
You want to go ahead and put the bushes in before we finish the front field?
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to put the bushes in, let this dry. This is pretty thick paint, right?
Yeah. Do you want to use the hair dryer on it?
Yeah, I'm going to just hit dark. Yeah, let's dry just dry it. All right, so let's do the bushes on the back field then next. So we got to start with the darkest colors. So we got to start with our darkest green. Okay.
Yeah, you could be using the ultramarine blue, cad yellow, and burnt umber. It's going to make your deep forest green.
So we're going to, because it's a dark green, we're going to start with blue first, and burnt umber, and a little cad yellow. Then we just ease in the yellow. Okay. All right, so that's we've got to have our darkest green here. And that's not dark enough, so I'm going to put a little bit more burnt umber.
Did you give that block of yellow that's about to fall off your palette? I'd hate to have that fall on the painting.
All right, then we got some more ultramarine blue.
There you go, it's getting dark.
That's our really nice dark green. So we're going to come up under here, right next to this, and right next to this. See how I'm cutting that in? Cutting this in here. This goes all the way down here like that. There's some bushes. They're coming up here a little bit. And then they come up. We're not going to bring them up too much further than this. With just a little bit, we'll just tap these in here with the corner of the brush like that. Because we'll be putting something light over that. Okay, and then we got to come around the front of the building here with some of this dark color on the bushes. We can't finish the bushes in the front yet because the building's not finished. But we can at least do the underpainting of these
Get the shadows in.
the shadow colors of these bushes. So again, I want this to be very sharp line here, very straight. And we're going to say we've got some bushes. Put a little bit more yellow in this as we go up. I'm going to say, just using the tiny bit of the brush, we're going to say that's a bush. I'll just make little swirly things. And we've got something dark in front of this. Okay, so you see how we kind of wrap the building in that, right? And because this is where, you can pretty much take it to the bank where the dark is. Now, could we paint that tree in there because we're in this dark color?
The back evergreen one?
Yeah, we could. And if you look at it, the branches are going up like a V all the way up here. So I'm going to take a little bit of medium, which is because I don't want to put any water on this. I'm going to add that to just make it flow a little better, okay? And I'm going to come up. I'm going to draw a line right in. This is it's got to be the center of this tree, right up here, not quite to the top. And I'm going to just draw a line. Okay? Now, what you do is you're going to put a little bit of purple in that green and phthalo blue. Okay? Purple and phthalo green, same color, we're just going to make it darker. And I'm going to just kind of roll the excess paint off my brush, right? Now I know it's darker right next to the roof, right? But then out in here, we're going to skip a space and allow some sky to show through.
So the birds can get through.
Yep. We're going to skip a space and then kind of curve some of this up a little bit. Very impressionistic. Use just the tip of your brush like this. This tree comes all the way down into here next to this building. It really goes to the whole roof. It goes right next to the roof here. And it's going to get some light stuff on it too, but basically that's that tree. Okay. Now, this is where I would think there'd be, okay, let's bring this down here like that. Okay. There's some dark in here like that. Okay. I'm going to rinse the brush and dry this, and then finish. And then we're going to finish the church. Yeah, John.
Yep.
Because all that can be drying, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've had all that green on that brush, so I'm going to take a clean brush, and I'm going to do the church. So we know this has to be lighter. So what color did we decide this was, John?
Where are we at?
The front of the church. What color we decide the very lightest colors on our church were? Just a second coat of that? Is that what we came to decided, right?
The church was made of white and the yellow
Yellow ochre. So we got to have another. I want a straight line here. I want that to be straight here. Okay. So I'm going to just take some buff titanium, right? And I'm going to tap over this like this and leave some of that other color showing through. Nothing is ever just one color. And I'm going to do the same thing on this. I'm going to say I want this to be straight up and down here. And I want it a little bit whiter. Can I add a little bit more white here? Okay. And this is a sort of this side of it is, it's in shadow here. There's a little bit of a, kind of we saw that here. It's just like when you come down from here, it's a little bit purpler on this side, okay? Yeah. And so if I do purple and buff titanium for my shadow, because I've already got some of that purple mix somewhere up in here, I'm going to just say that this is the shadow side of that. And I know I want this to be straight up and down. You see it's not, right? So where's that other brush that had all the dark green on it? I'm going to take this dark green color, and this has to be straight up and down. See that? Okay. You can get away with a lot, but that's got to be straight up and down. So when you're doing this, you might want to do it even with a small detail brush, rather than try to do an angle, because this is so small. If you're doing it larger, I'd say go for it. And this is our second coat on the front of this building right here. This line goes down at an angle like this. Okay, and as long as we're doing into some burnt umber, we know we've got something dark underneath here. And under here like that. See, these straight lines are important. Okay, see how that brings that out a little bit more, right? So this line here has to be straight across. And I've got that a little bit too wide, so I'm just going to come up under here with this color right here. So probably a little brush like this is going to be easier to handle that than the angle brush. But you got the angle brush. I tell you what I like the angle brush for, or even a small smudgy, is that you can do some textures. There's a little bit of color in this. So there's like a little bit of phthalo blue and buff titanium and a little bit of magenta in this. Okay, in this church right here, see how I'm going to just tap it on there for the shadow? And there's a little bit more, take a little white. And right next to here, there was a shadow right here. These are small things, but they make a difference because then you can take a little bit of the purple color, for instance, and there's kind of a dark line here on this edge. See that? It just, then I'm going to take a little of that purple, which you said right here, and I'm going to put that, just that little window in right there. I'm going to outline this just a little bit on this side of the steeple. I'm going to take something a little darker. So I want a little more contrast than I've got. Okay. So when you do that, you can thin it out again by just coming in with another color. But I wanted something a little bit darker right there. But these are pretty good colors, don't you think, John?
I think it's looking good.
So I'm going to go back into the window with the colors. Now, I would say put a dot where you're going to put the windows so that they're all following the line of the roof, right? Put that first, and put the dots like that, okay? So now just come down here with a straight line. If you were doing this larger, you might, screw around with the arch windows, but we're just going to do them straight down.
Arch tape and all that.
Yeah, we're not doing any of that.
We're too small.
We're too small, but we can do that on this one. See, I want a little purple on this. So we've got some good, this could be a little darker. So we've got some really nice contrast on this. And now I know that there's something else that we have to do to the roof. What was that, John?
On the roof?
Mm-hmm. We got to lighten it up, right?
Yep. We get back up to the roofie. The roof's going to be, okay, you did the cat and the burnt.
Going to do some cad yellow medium and some orange on the top here.
Yeah, you'd be using what they're going with is the orange and red highlights on the roof where the sun's hitting it. Kind of like what you did with the, I was going to say what you did with this.
With this one, and it's gonna, I put a little bit of white with that. That orange color, just put a buff titanium with it because that steeple's even lighter here. This part right here is even lighter. Then there's a little bit of light color right there. So it's almost like the roof is almost like three colors, okay? But boy, does it stand out, doesn't it?
It does.
And then we need to straighten up this line here like this. Okay, so that's where having the green paint helps. See, I kind of clean up those edges, and that's a good way. Now, it seems to me when I was looking at the picture, John, that we've got some sort of little bushes painted under here. I think there's a little bit of
the rest of the
little bit of purple under this line right here. There's some purple right there on that side. There you go, like that. There, okay. So now there's some bushes in here.
Well, you want to be a little bit lighter in your greens because we're going to use your yellow.
Yeah, the yellow greens, and so we're going to finish the bushes then. Let's just do the bushes, you guys.
You still want to put the cross on top of the.
Yes, oh yeah. Well, I'll do that with the Posca pen.
Okay.
We'll put the cross, and if somebody may not want a cross, but if you wanted one, you put it up there. Okay.
That's true. That's true.
All right. So for the bushes, I can use that tiny little
Smudgy.
smudgy because I wanted to, so yellow ochre into this green, right, like this. Maybe some cad yellow light, right?
Yep, you got to get a little bit brighter.
We've got a little bit of brighter and some raw umber so it's not too plasticky. Okay. That's the first green, then we'll go one lighter than that.
Right.
So up in here, I'm just going to tap it on here like this. Okay. Okay, and I want a little bit more of the yellow ochre in here like this, particularly in front of this building like this. It's just, we're tapping it in here. We're just suggesting that this is what it is. Put a little bit of green underneath it. Nothing is ever just one color. If you were doing this bigger, you'd do a lot more detail, but we're not doing it bigger. These are more of the olive greens back here, and then I want to take some zinc white and lighten these up. Or maybe just titanium. I want to lighten up that green. Okay, see that? So I'm going to say that I want this to be a bit lighter here. And up here where the sun might be hitting it, yes?
Yeah, the sun's coming from the right side.
Okay. And over here too, it's just got some light greens. Keep it, don't make lollipops. Keep the edges different. Make a little cad yellow light with that. Just lighten that up. Make sure it's mixed. Now here's a bush that came up a little bit higher over this mountain. See, like these mountains are in the background, and they go like this. This is not tricky, okay? Just the lighter greens are on top, and they're not lollipop hills. They vary the shapes of them, okay? Okay. Now, that looks pretty good. How long has this taken? I'm very curious.
You're just curious on how long we've been at this? 52 minutes.
All right, for just in an hour, and I'm going to come back here with a little blue, just a little ultramarine blue, because this is still wet. I'm going to break this up a little bit. See that? Just a little ultramarine blue. And just because that's still wet, and I can do that. I can break that up. And that's what you do. It's just, break that up. And there was some of that light green on top of that. I'm going to take a little phthalo blue with that. A little bit bluer, a little bit greener. Okay? And on this, well, that's too green. On this, right here on this pine tree, it's kind of lighter on this side. There it is. Okay? Where'd that little detail brush go? We have a detail. I know we did, but where'd I put it? Ah, okay. So, in the front here, we're going to use the detail brush and a little bit of white and go into those greens we made. Okay, kind of some blue greens. And we're going to just paint some vertical brush strokes going up like this. We're not dabbing anymore. We're suggesting that there's some plants that are doing this. And if you lose too much of that, it's pretty thick, you can come back here and thin that out like that. So we're suggesting these plants are a little different in front here. All right, so we got those. And I'm just looking at the picture, seeing anything else strike you as, here's some darker stuff in the shadow area. Okay, that's going to be darker green right in here, because this is in our shadow area. Okay. All right. So what are we up to now? I guess we're up to painting a few little bits of brighter color in here, right?
Yeah, you're just finishing up your bushes. You can keep adding those until you get to
just add a little bit of yellow ochre to some of these plants, so it's not everything's not the same color. All right, so I like that. That looks pretty good. All right, next. Oh, we had to put some green back on those hills. Okay, so I'm going to say there's some green back on here a little bit. A little zinc white with that. That's too dark. Because these are a little closer. Okay, so there's some green on those. All right. No, this is our next one, right?
Yep, I'm going to come back up to the lavender field. I'm going to start putting on the next layer there.
Okay, so this is pretty straightforward.
Your middle tones are going to be the purple with a little bit of white.
Now you could use, for instance, a fan brush for this.
Yeah, fan brush.
Or a grass brush, what they call a grass brush like this, something like this. And that works because you put a lot of different colors on the brush at once and then up. But what I want to talk to you about is I want you to see the shapes, because lavender are round. They're really roly-poly plants.
Aren't they like a tumbleweed?
Well, yeah, but small. So,
Yeah.
like, for instance, you've got
a baby tumbleweed.
You want to sit there and here. Let's get all this junk out of the way so I have room. Okay, so I hope you have been subscribing to the channel, and if you're an Academy member, you can send this in for personal art coaching. So here we go. Like here, like this. Now, then we've got a clump here, smaller clump, and then we got a big clump right here, like this. It gets smaller as it goes back, right? And it just, boy, this isn't drawn. Let me just, okay, just sharpen that. Ooh, that didn't sharpen. Hang on.
They keep breaking in that.
Yeah. Okay, maybe it sharpened. Okay, so I've got that clump, and then you've got this clump. And you might just put those in so you don't get confused, right?
Kind of a road map.
And then you've got some, up here you've got some smaller ones. Then your next row. And then then it's almost like this. These are just straight lines here. They don't go, keep looping, okay? And they're larger in front. Okay. Okay, and they're going up in the shape of a fan like this. All right, you can see that? They're going to go up like that. So let's try that. And here's how I would do this. There's going to be about 3 colors in there. And so let's take a palette knife and mix the 3 colors we want. So we're going to start with, we've got some buff titanium, so let's just use it. We have some white up here. So let's see, we've got some magenta. Okay, so we know that that's a color. And we've got some ultramarine blue and magenta, and we know that's a color. Okay, right? You don't have to mix it too well, right? It's got some with a little bit more blue. That's a color. Okay, then we've got dazzling purple and white and white, and that's a color. little ultramarine blue in it. That's the color, kind of a shadow color. All right, so we can kind of ad-lib from there, all right? So I'm going to start back here with this magenta color. And I'm going to say that there's a see how that's that go a little darker. Okay, and I'm going to do the next light one. Let's see, where's my way to clean the brush? Barely touch it. No water on the brush. See how I'm making these? Then I want maybe one of these, this blue color. I want it a little bit darker, so I'll go right into the purple. Um, and I'm just going to say a little bit of purple and buff titanium. Okay. A little white with that.
Very light brush stroke. You're not pressing down.
Barely touching it, right?
You're doing the furry parts.
This one's we're going to kind of lift up on. It's darker on this side of it. Okay. Here's another one. And what you can do is, like, for instance, is just take a paper towel and wipe the brush off like that. I'm just going to go through a little bit of magenta and purple, and just put some of these on here like that. And I'm going to take a little bit of the white, maybe the zinc white. I want something lighter. I don't want them all the same color. I know this is a little tricky because it's not. And wipe off the brush. You don't get, if you glob it on there, it doesn't work. Okay. And then when you come down into the purple stuff, right? You come down into here, just don't make this dark color a straight line. Um, you'll have to come back and add some light, but let's just ultramarine blue and purple and some white. What do we got? Okay, a little more magenta. Okay. Then let's just wipe off the brush here. We've got too much paint on it. I kind of try to keep the shape. Barely touch it. You can do this with a little, you can do this by hand with a little brush too. You don't have to have this brush. This just makes it a little bit easier to do it. Barely touching it. This needs a little more blue in it. I'm going to put some of that blue in there, a little ultramarine blue. A little bit of magenta. So you'll get the variations as you add the light, but right now we're just kind of doing this. Then when you get back into this part, you're tapping it in like this. You're just tapping in the colors and the purples and the magentas, and they're paler back here. Again, it's too much paint on the brush. None of this works. Take a little bit of red and white, make a little pink color. A little bit of magenta and white.
And talk about layers, folks. We got layers galore.
Yeah, you didn't have to do it that way, right?
You got to build it up.
I'm going to rinse that brush because I've got too much paint on it now. I'm going to rinse it really good. And go back to try to get my pink color. Here we go. See how I'm tapping that on there? Take a little bit of blue and white. All right, so again, the farther things are away, you don't talk about them. You only talk about the stuff that's up close. A lot of people would just keep making that going all the way back. So has this dried enough where we can do something else? Well, I think so. So remember, don't make this a straight line. Make it uneven. Separate your plants. Some should be bluer. Yeah, I want some lighter stuff going on here. I'll put that on there, then wipe all the paint off the brush. I want this light. Okay. The light's hitting it from the top. See how that, isn't that nice how that works?
It looks
Because you
very
can do
good.
so much of this. You can do so much of this. Here's the side of the brush like that. You can do so much of this with a brush like this. Then you can come around with a, we talked about the maybe an angle brush, and you can then deliberately put in some colors. Can add some. We haven't done a lot of drawing, but I think we're okay. I think this is kind of dried. So the detail you want's in the front ones. That's where your detail is. The ones right up in front. Okay? But as you get further back, and I want you to just sort of count the details. Look at the reference and count what's in there. How many count where the detail is, because it really doesn't go back much further than this. And we want that, I'm going to try that ultramarine, that phthalo, that dazzling purple and white, because I'm really not liking my purple yet. So I'm going to do that, because that's an old Matisse purple. Okay, and I want magenta in it. Okay, I want that color somewhere.
Mhm.
Paint just on one side of the brush. So there's like all these different colors of purple in this. This is what impressionistic painting, you stand back and that's what it looks like, right? So let's give this a dry so that we can do the next layers. Well, we're getting the feel of that though, aren't we, John?
It definitely look like a lavender field to me.
All right, so I'm going to take some dazzling purple and red, naphtha crimson, and maybe some ultramarine blue. What do we got? Is that still purple enough? No. That actually looks kind of brown, doesn't it?
Looks like you need to put some white in it to see what it is. That's brown.
Well, it's kind of a dull brown color, isn't it?
It's got a little purple in it.
It's got a little purple in it, actually.
Yeah, I don't know.
It does. I want to come between the plants a little bit. And, want to make sure we have some space in between the plants. Okay, that was pretty good. All right. Well, this path could be a little wider right in here. It's at the beginning of this. A little bit of
Big glob.
big glob of paint. Still a big glob. And it's got a little bit darker down here, so we need to lighten it up. And there's something light here, some light back in here. And then as we come around we come around here, there's some of this yellow ochre color over here too, see? Kind of around the building. And let's do some green. Just because I want my other mixing one. I just need some light green. Boy, let's put some white in that, right? Let's put some really light green, a little bit of orange in it. There you go. So it's not quite so in your face. There you go. Perfect color. I'm going to tap this green in here like that. Some of this green up around here like that. All right, so I had some green there. And then we've got a little bit more of we have some green in the plants, right, in a couple places. Just, we barely see it, right? Some green right here. There's always some weeds in these things that are growing up. Not too much of that, but there's just some parts of that are doing it. I'd like that to be a little bit lighter. Same thing over here. Uh,
Now, the part that Ginger's doing right now is a typical question we would hear is, how do I keep the lavender from looking like a big solid purple blob? Oh, exactly what she's doing now. She's breaking it up with the different colors, green stems, dirt paths, shadows, variations, etc. Otherwise, you just have a purple monster.
okay, so we've got, yeah, so that we've got that, right? And so I know that I want I want this to be a little brighter. All right. Ooh, I had so much water on the brush. That's been in water, so you really got to pull the water out of it. You just take a little bit of white with that. See, we're just going to add a touch of white. Now look how we pop that back up, right? Now, can we do the same thing with the lavender with that little brush? With some white in it, sort of that lavender color with some white in it, because there's some. I'm just not getting the colors. I'm not getting it bright enough here. And I want a pink color too. I just want the lavender and white and pink. I just want a pink color. There you go. So even if you didn't have one of those funny little brushes, you can still make this work. Just want you to see all the colors I'm putting in this. And as acrylics dry darker, you have to go back over it and add the lights. You may thought you did it, and then you're done. You wake up the next morning and they're all gone. And you want to be able to put them back. Even if it's just the tips of something. That can be that can be very good, right? Just warm this up here a little bit. Ones that are closest to us are a little bit more detailed. We talked about that. Um, okay, so what are we missing here? Do you see anything? I think I'm missing some light blue. You see anything I'm missing, John?
I'm not offhand. I have to see the reference. I don't have a reference handy. Well, let me see if I can punch it up on my computer here.
I think I need some
I'll
light
give you
blue
a
in
pack
here.
here.
Yeah, see if you see anything, because it's drying and need some light blue in there. See where we're adding color. People always have the queen of color, but sometimes you just have to add the color. Sometimes you need a little bit of bright blue or and I just don't want a dark line around here either too. So these bushes here, I don't want just a black line here in front.
Yeah, I was going to say, just break that up. You have tall grasses, little weed stuff growing in there.
And it could have some blue in it.
I think you pretty much got it, my queen.
I think we do too, John. I think this is exactly what the way we would teach you to paint this. And this one's had sort of a green up on this mountain here, like this. It was in the background. Second layer of dark on the pine tree. And you can come way, no, that's, you know, you mentioned the cross, which I would do with the Posca pen, right? A little bit of blue in here too, see? So where I'm not seeing the light is on here. So let's try some zinc white, because I just have not had success with this. I don't have any of the light on my lavender right in here. Do you see that? You think you've got it, and then maybe it's
Then
just
it dries.
that I don't have any light here.
It dries and all disappears.
It kind of did. And if this is your painting, I'd say to go back and, you know, there's a little bit of light green between the kind of a blue-green color between the fields here, like that. And again, this is so small, 8 by, 6 by 8, but like, so we did something like that. Well, let me dry this one. Let's find a little cute 8 by 10 frame, and let's see if we can't put something together here for this.
It's a great idea. You're still painting.
Yeah, I am. I'm just putting a little phthalo blue in here.
You're just making a suggestion to yourself?
Yeah, well, I mean, when you see this, and then you have to just keep adding the, stuff. But I think that was pretty good.
Give it a good dry. Leave no press on it too hard, it won't come out of there.
That's sort of pretty, isn't it?
What do you guys think? That looks nice in that frame.
Just always surprises me. I get it in the frame going, huh, that came out better than I thought.
Holy moly, I'm a real artist.
Wow, who knew, right? That's a kind of who knew. Do you remember that color we had that was called rose?
Yeah, I do.
And I feel like we need some rose in that.
Oh my goodness.
Because magenta isn't doing it for me. And I don't want to use the pink from Holbein. Here's rose color, right? And do you see, guys, that this is the Pueblo rose? Now, you look at this rose color, and you see the rose in this painting with a little white?
A little bit here, a little bit there.
So you wouldn't do a lot, but, this is what you heard me referring to this as color surprise. So I would take a little bit of the buff titanium, maybe, and add it to the rose color. Yeah, okay.
Tone it down just a little bit.
Tone it down just a little. Now let me just see it. Just a little. There's this color. There's a little bit of this rose color right in here. Just a little bit in the front here. What would happen if we mixed it with magenta? Okay, here's rose and magenta. Ooh, that's pretty. And white. Let's see that.
Ooh, that's pretty.
Yep.
Ooh.
Just a little bit brighter in a couple places.
You don't want to overdo it, though. It will no longer be a surprise.
Yeah, you can't overdo it. You can just Put a little bit, and then maybe put some little purple by it. Yeah, what just sometimes you if you're one of those people who've collected paint. Have you done that? Have you just collected all these little weird tubes of paint? You may be shocked at what you have. Here's like another tinier paintbrush, and it's even smaller. I put a little water on the brush, right?
These are just subtle little things that your eye will pick up, but you don't realize why it looks so cool.
Yeah, that's exactly it, John. Why did that work? There's a lot of light back in here, right? And it's easy to lose it. Kind of even a light blue. Sure, there's even like a light blue color here in this, and kind of a purple blue. There's some of these colors in here. You can get a little carried away, but.
And she would say that you are?
No, I don't think so, because
Okay.
I think that came out. I'm gonna.
Oh, it looks nice in that frame.
It looks lovely in that frame. I'm gonna straighten up this window, kind of at the bottom here, like that. Now, I'm not using a Posca pen because I don't want it that dark. I'm just adjusting that cross without it being that dark.
And maybe touch up those side windows a little bit.
Which what?
The ones on the side, the three on the side of the building.
Oh, these windows?
Yeah, at least that one. It looks like he's a little.
Well, it's very rough here.
Yeah, I think we've got some thickness in there. If you can just fill that in a little bit. No, I'm being picky.
Well,
Okay,
no, but
fine.
it's fair because the paint, the canvas is very rough, right?
Yeah. You got to put in some heavy impasta there.
Here's a little buff titanium.
Well, we certainly hope you all enjoyed this new technique of learning you.
Well, we're trying something new. If John says it and I say it, maybe we repeat it. It will makes a lot of sense. Yeah, yes and yes.
You have to remember, as you know, we talk about what we think we're going to do, and it changes as we do. So you got to remember that what I say, and then she starts getting into it, goes, well, wait a minute, I think I'm going to do something a little bit different. You got to pay attention, really, both of us, to what's going on to really get the full bennies.
All right, now this is pretty, probably where I would sign this is right here.
Where?
Right there, I
Yeah.
think. Probably right there with a Posca
First
pen.
thing you pointed over to the left.
Yeah,
there.
so, I mean, we're doing so many different styles of painting on YouTube this year. We're trying to show you all the different ways you can paint something. Does it have to be giant to paint it? You needed the zinc white. You needed these straight up and down lines. You needed to be able to put the rows of the lavender fields in and then know when to stop. When is it no longer, when do you no longer need that color, for instance, right? And
you get the atmospheric perspective in those mountains too. Those really came out nice.
Yeah,
You can tell
really did. If you didn't put too many clouds in,
and they're not
so
hard clouds.
So if you have a photo, I guess when you're talking about looking at a photo, the thing you want to ask yourself is, what can I take away and not ruin the effect? What can I eliminate in the picture? So if we come back here like this, right? You see how all of this is busy and all of this is, busy.
Yeah, very busy.
It's all very busy, right?
You have to simplify it for the viewer.
Simplify it for the viewer, and that's what you want to do. So I'm going to sign it right here. My handy Posca pen.
Well, can you imagine your name was Rumpelstiltskin?
Well, yeah.
Just saying, that's a lot of letters.
There. Sometimes you can just do some small stuff like that. So this was fun for a little fun painting. I don't know how long did it take us to do this.
Got $1.50.
Well, it's not too bad considering, right?
No, that's a nice painting for an hour and a half.
Yeah, I mean, hour and a half of your time, you sit there, but what did you learn? I mean, if you made this bigger, would it be easier? Yes and yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Oops, I just dropped a brush.
But it also takes us a little bit longer to do. So,
yeah.
We're trying to get a target here. It's a fine line on how long you guys hang in there with us.
Yes.
Well, nothing personal, but you don't sit here for hours with us.
Okay, so I saw where, like on the roof line here, this kind of came out a little bit. And it does here. So if I took a little, this is where you can come back up and
do a little tweak.
You can do a little tiny brush and just tweak this roof out a little bit more. And don't be afraid to give it a second coat of color or something, right?
Or third or fourth or fifth, or I mean, how many layers?
Yeah, because
sometimes we have to watch one area on the canvas and see how many times paint goes over it.
So yeah, you can't. It's a little bit darker right here in the shadow by this part of the roof because of the. It's next to that building. For the building, but we're not trying to be picky here. But you could do that. You could paint this. That it's done. I hope you're enjoying our ads for the Academy. We're doing some wonderful things in the Academy. If you haven't signed up for our newsletter, which we send out every Monday, it gives you an idea of what we're going to be painting on YouTube that day, and also what's new in the Academy. And it's a great benefit to have that. So go to our website, acrylicpaintingwithgingercook.com, scroll down, sign up for the newsletter. Right?
In other words, it's down in the footer. All right, are we good?
We're good.
All right, people. Really enjoyed having you here. Thanks for all the questions, donations that came in. You're wonderful. Couldn't do what we do without you. What are you going to do?
Oh, I was just...
You slashed it. Oh, man. All right, if you put the final touches on, folks.
Bye.
Subscribe if you haven't. Free to do. Thumbs up on the way out. Make sure the cat goes out. Don't want him running around the studio.
All right.
Have a wonderful evening, everybody.
Bye. Bye.